So this is the lift that we're going to use to take the original beam down, and we're going to put the brand new steel I-beam up with this thing. It can lift a tremendous amount of weight, way more than, just 2 or 3 of us could lift, so it'll do the trick. And here's the new I-beam. It's all welded up. You can see the brackets on each end. And this is the one, once the original beam is taken out, we're going to put this thing on the lift, which you'll see, and we'll lift it up into position. So step 1 is going to be to remove the existing supporting posts that are underneath these posts. Here you can see David and Al cutting out the post on the left. So once that post is out, you'll see him jump over to the post on the right here in a second. And, once those posts are all cut out, that beam will be completely free from up underneath the structure above. Previously, we had cut all the nails and all of the fasteners that held that beam into place against the original structure. So really, you didn't see that part, but once these are out, you'll see we can start to lower the beam down since there's no fasteners. Oh, looks like there's a fastener here on the left side we missed, so I think David's gonna grab the saw here. You'll see him cut it out. You'll see it pop loose. There it goes. And we're getting ready to lower the beam down now. And you'll notice that here we're trying to get it centered so it doesn't tip over, and Al is gonna use those cranks, and that lowers the pulley down so that the beam is held completely by the forks, so we can lower it down just enough for us to carry it off just out of the way for now. So the next step here is going to be attaching a 2x4 up to the footprint of where the new beam is going to go, and we pre-prepared that, and we dropped some carriage bolts through that, which we can bolt the new I-beam, which is pre-drilled for those locations of the carriage bolts. We'll bolt them together, and that's what's going to keep it from moving left to right and keep it in place over the long term. So here we are, and you can see the nail gun. We're just nailing that up into the existing structural beams. And here you'll see us stretching a string. The new beam has just a very slight bow in it, so we're making sure that this plate that the beam's going to bolt to has that existing, we're going to put it into the same bow as the beam. It's about 1/8 of an inch or so. So we didn't want the beam sticking out beyond that. So here you can see this 2x4 with the bolts drop through it. And now that that's in place, we're ready to get the steel I-beam in place and lift it on up.
Always gonna make it. Just I have to lift it up and get it around that. All we need to do is get it on the forks.
So here, what we're doing is we're getting the beam in position. Al's out of the screen on the right there, kind of taking care of the tail end of the beam. And David and I are just working on getting it up onto the forks, and we're gonna try to slide it over. This thing weighs almost 500 pounds, so it's not light. So it takes a little bit of care and maneuvering and just being really careful the whole time to make sure we're not hurting one of us or putting a hole in the floor or in the walls, or, just always just taking precaution first and taking it slow. So even though everything's sped up, it's kind of a long, drawn-out, slow process just to make sure we can get this thing up and in place in a safe way to do its ultimate job for the client. So here we're just getting things lined up. We're getting that beam up so we're trying to line up the carriage bolts with the holes drilled in the beam. And you can see Al on the right side is kind of guiding the right side. He has a clamp that he's kind of taking on and off, trying to get it in position. And there it goes. You see it's up in there. You can see the carriage bolts popping through now. Now it's a matter of just kind of bolting it together and keep holding it in place. And once the bolts are nutted in, so we use lock washers. You can see David putting on the lock washer and the nut here, and Mark is over there on the right side, that's me, and I'm just kind of measuring and checking and making sure that 4x6 can get cut to the right length, and there it is. Now it's just a matter of, since it's very tight, kind of getting it hammered in place, and there they go with the sledgehammer, hammering it in place so we can get it all the way over so that beam's not going to sag or fall or do anything strange. Once we get that thing in place nice and tight, leveled up, good to go. And they're drilling through there on the right side, getting ready to put the bolts through. and they'll put a lock washer and a nut on the right side of those once those are in. And it's a matter of just doing that on the left side and tightening everything down. And we're pretty much done installing the beam. So here we go in a sec. You'll see just kind of the finished product. So all in all, it's well planned, well executed, and it is serving just its job beautifully now. And the last part of this project was just putting in the Simpson steel. So you can see the hangers there on the ledger board we put in, and we have hurricane ties up there on the top into the roof framing so that this thing won't go anywhere in a seismic or high wind type of event. So last piece, and this thing is safe and good to go.